Good evening, everybody. Hello. Oh, I thought somebody right now. Hello, are we all together? Hello, are we there? You guys are muted, so if you want to say something, or just let me know you're here. Are you guys good?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Yeah, so yesterday we were able to fix install Anaconda and do some intro to Python. And we wrote our first code yesterday. We also talked about variables, right? So yeah, that was majorly what we did yesterday. So today we'll finish up with the notebook from yesterday, which is still Introduction to Python. And we'll talk about data types, the basic data types. We'll talk about strings. We'll talk about more any particular data type actually. And then we'll also talk about operators and expressions in Python. So yeah, that's basically what we'll be doing today. So I hope we are all ready for that. And again, just to remind you, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. And if you want me to explain something over again, probably you didn't get it the first time, just let me know and I will do that. And yeah, when I try to talk to you, let's make this interactive. When I ask you questions, try to, as much as possible, to respond, even if it's with just an emoji or if it's something that requires that you actually say something. Okay, so we are all here to, thank you. We are all here to learn together and to grow together. So let's try as much as possible to get something out of this. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to share my screen right now and open um Jupyter Notebook. I would also open the notebook from yesterday and then we'll go from there. All right. All right, can you all see my screen right now? Can you see my screen? If you can, just a thumbs up would be nice. If you can see my screen, just let me know. Can you see my screen? Cool. All right.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so yeah. Now just to show you once again, because subsequently I might have opened the notebook before class, but I'll just show you once again how to open your Jupyter notebook. Yesterday I mentioned that you can open directly from Anaconda, or you can, since the moment you launch it, Jupyter Notebook should be showing up just like this on your start menu. If you're using Windows 11, definitely you should be able to find it somewhat like this on your start menu. So yeah, you can just go ahead and click on this, or you can even pin it to your desktop page so that you can just double click from there. But I do not really want to share my desktop right now, so yeah. So like I said, it's going to open your default browser. And yeah, we're waiting for it to show up. So once it's done like that, so you have to pick wherever it is, maybe it's in your downloads, your desktop, your documents, wherever your folder is, just try as much as possible to navigate to that. And then this is my folder for this particular class. So you might have created it in your own PC or not, just try as much as possible to, but wherever your file is. I think I sent some files to the WhatsApp before this meeting started, so you can check that as well. Just check. So yesterday we're still on notebook 1 and we'll finish up with that right now. Okay. Yeah. Now, we'll be talking about data types in the next how many minutes. So yeah, in Python, we have different types of data. We have more than this, but these ones are the basic types, and they are most likely the ones that you come across the most in Python. We have other types. So the first one is int, which is integers. You can also call it integers. There are numbers like 5, it can be positive or negative, definitely, that do not have any decimal place to it or anything, just whole numbers. Let me put it out, whole numbers. Yeah, those ones are called integers. Yeah. So, and whenever you check, I'll show you how to check type of that. Yeah. Then we have floats, which are decimal numbers. So there are numbers too. So, but they are decimal numbers too. So when you have something that has decimals like this, it's actually a floating point number, not just any number. It's not a whole number. It's just this. It's just called float. When you have decimal points like that, it's called floats in Python. And then when you have text, it might not even just be letters only. It might be alphanumeric. Maybe you have letters and numbers together. So you have numbers and letters together. So it's also a string, because it's not just purely a number and not purely it's not a float, definitely. So yeah, when you have something, and usually whenever you have alphanumeric or just basically text or words like this, they are written in quotes. We'll talk more about strings later. They are written in quotes, either double quotes or single quotes. But whenever you have a string or anything that has characters in it or alphanumeric numbers, they are called strings. And whenever you want to write them, you put them in quotes. Then the last one is bool, which is booleans. There are those true or false value. You know, when you do some logic expressions and then you find the result as, if you check something, if something is something, then it's either it is true or it is false. That's just 1 or 0. True can also be interpreted as 1. That's if you're converting it to an integer. And false is 0. So yeah, that's just basically it. So these are some examples. This is a variable that we called x. Remember our variables from yesterday? So this is a variable called x, and this is another variable called y, and another variable name, and another variable is co. So x contains 10, y contains 3.14. So obviously this is like an integer, this is a float, this is a string, because definitely it's written in quotes and it's text basically. Then we have true. Notice that the true here, I think I should zoom in at this point. Yeah, notice that the true here is written in capital. The first letter is written, which is T, is written in capital letter. And the same thing goes with false. If it's written in capital, the first letter is written in capital letter. Remember what I said yesterday. Python is very, very case sensitive. So, and remember that I also said that you cannot use true and false. They are part of Python keywords because they mean something true. This particular one, if you write it with lowercase letter, they'll be fine as variable names, but it's not even advisable because it might be a little bit confusing. Yeah, but they are written with capital letter like this. So to check what's data type, just to confirm what we've done, to see if it is an integer, this is an integer or a float or a string or a boolean. To confirm, we can just use the type function to confirm that. The type function to check, okay, if this particular x, what is in x is an integer, or what is in y is a float or something. So you use the type function and followed by parentheses and x to check the type of variable that this x is, or something like that. So you can use the print statement like this. Actually, you can check as many things as possible in your print statements, just the way we wrote it here. So you can do that. So if I run this, you see we have this is how it's going to show. Class, because Python is an object-oriented language, I don't want to go too much into that stuff. I will not confuse you. But this is how it's going to display whenever you check the type of any particular value or variable. it's going to like tell you, okay, this belongs to a class integer. This belongs to class float. This belongs to class string, like that. So that's just how it works. Okay, so we have type X, type Y, and all of that. Now, I think there's something that I did not mention yesterday when we were doing, and I think I should mention it at this point, so that when you see it subsequently, you will not be confused or anything. Now, and although we'll still talk more about functions in future, like how you can create your own functions and all. But basically, at this stage, I'll just quickly mention it here that whenever you have a function, this is a function type. There's a name for the function, which is this. In this case, the name of this function is type. Then after writing the function, it's followed by a parenthesis. Then whatever the function takes in follows along to. So what I mean is this. Let me create a space here. Remember, the print is a function as well. And the name of this function is print. Then we followed it by parentheses. Interestingly, in Python, once you click on just a single parenthesis, it's going to like close this next one, give you the closing one immediately. So if I want whatever it is I want to print out, then I write it here. Now, there's more to this print function than what we are using it for right now. So if you want to know more things about what this function does, in Jupyter Notebook, you can just easily say something like this, print, then followed by a question mark. That would actually tell you what that function does. So if I just do this, run that to see what this function is about. So you see, you can write as many functions, as many arguments, that means as many things that you want to print. Like I can write hello, this is print hello for one. Then I can write another thing that I want to print separately with a comma. See, I have that. So it's printing what? This is printing two separate things. It's not like I wrote hello world in a single thing. I'm printing two separate things. Like if I now want to, like maybe this separate one, I want it to go to the next line. What I would do in that case is I would just say, end equals, we'll talk more about this escape character later. This is called an escape character. So what this means is that it should actually, there's even an interpretation for this. End means string appended after the last value, default a new line. Like so that when I use print, when I do another print, it's going to do that next print in the next line. Okay. But if I want it to be separated, I think this should be because the default is this. This should be separated by English by yes. So initially, it's going to just separate it by with space. That's the default for sep. You see, sep means string is started between the values. So the default here, there's a default, which is space. This is what it means. We'll talk more about all of this when we talk about functions. I'm just using this time to explain what functions are, basically. So this is just separator equals to \n because I want the next word, this word, to be on the next line. Well, that's what this \n means. Okay, so it's going to move to the next line. Then there are other functions that you have there that you can use. That's just what the print function is about. So if you want, like, it's like a documentation where I said something about that yesterday as well. When Python has like a rich documentation that almost everything in Python, if it's something that is inbuilt or even if it's a third-party library, there's always an explanation for it. There's a documentation for it that will guide you through how to use it. Do you get it? So such that you do not need to cram some things. You just need to know the right thing that would lead you to how to use a particular function or library. That's just it. Okay? So that's the print function. Now look at the type function. I can check what the type function is also about. So once I do not need the parentheses when I do this. You see what I'm doing here. So type then followed by question, such that if I run this, you should have just type and whatever it is you're checking using to check the type or something. That's just it. It doesn't have any big thing about it. Do you get it? So you can use type just like that. So there are a whole lot of other functions in Python that you would come across and you use, but they are always simple to use and direct. So like this type function now is just telling me that I can easily say, okay, this is just saying this is a function inside another function, but we know what it's doing. Type X would tell you the type of variable X is, or the type of the data type, sorry. So type Y would also tell you the data type of Y and all of that. So it's just telling you what the data type of each one is. Okay, so that's just about that. All right, so now how do you convert one type to another? Let's assume that you have like this 3.14, I think this is pi. Yeah. You want to convert it to like whole number. You do not just want it like this. What you just do is, let me copy this. And yeah. So if I want to convert this y, right now, if I run, oh, sorry. If I run the type of, what am I doing? Oh, if I print the type of y, at this point, it is float. Now, if I want to convert it to an integer right now, what I just need to do is, let me print y first before I move on. Print y at this point because I just checked it. Now, if I convert y, I can say y is now equals to int. That's just me saying I want to convert this y to an integer. Okay, so int 3.14. Oh, sorry. Int what? Y. Yeah, its initial y. That's the interesting thing. You can still make reference to that. But I'm reassigning it back to y. Or I can just change, let me reassign it back to y. Such that if I should print the type of y again, if I print the type of y again, let me print y first. I'll print y. And you see what is going to show up there. So let me do this. Yeah, so that it should be a little bit. Now, initially, before we did the conversion, we had 3.14. Now, and we checked the type, definitely this is float. Now, when we converted it to an integer using the int function, and we printed it, we have 3. Usually, when you convert a floating point number to an integer in Python, it's actually rounds down. Like it will not round up or anything. Even if you have 3.54, or let me use 6 just to be sure, and you run this, you see it's rounded it down, not up. That's just how it works. Whenever you're converting a floating point number to an integer, it rounds down, not up. So that's just how you do a type conversion. You can also convert this to a now it is an integer. You can convert this to a string just the same way. You can say y is equals to str. That's how you convert to a string. Stry. And then if I copy this and I paste it down here, yeah, and I run it. You see, y is now a type str. Although you cannot see that it's wrapped in quotes right now because it's just showing you whatever it is there without the quote, but it is now a string. Okay, so that's just it. And the same way all of this happens too. So age is equals to 25. This is an integer. Sorry, I'm going to make that.
This is.
Don't worry, I did not want to plug it in before, but it's charging now. Okay, so yeah, age is 25. Um, age is now I'm converting this age to a string, so that it will be in a string. The data type will not be a string. Yeah. So that's just it. Now for this one now, even though this is 100, for now it is a string because it is wrapped in quotes. Remember what I said about strings? Whenever you have strings, you wrap them in quotes. So this is num-string. This is the name of the variable. Remember that. And then we are wrapping. This is a string for now. If I should check the type of this num-string right now, it will tell me that it is a string. Yeah. And then I'm converting this string because it is a number. Like 100 is a number. I'll be able to like do this. But if it is like Python that I wrote inside there, definitely I cannot convert that a to a number. Do you get me? I cannot convert something that is already a text to a number. It's not possible. But because 100 is a number, it's possible for me to convert it to an integer. Yeah. So that's just it. Then you've seen this floating one before and everything is good and fine. So it's just if okay, there's a point here. If the conversion is not possible, like converting hello to integer, Python will show an error. So I can show you the error right now. Let's run this line of code to see what happens. Age is a string like that. There's nothing serious about it. But now let's assume that what's going on? Oh, so now for now let's assume that I tried to what's going on? Oh, I try to say y equals to Python, and then I'm saying y equals to str. I'm sorry, int Python, int y, and then I'm trying to now print that y right now. I'm going to get an error at this point because it cannot convert this to an integer. So it's going to say value error, invalid data for int. So don't panic whenever you make the mistake of that. Probably you wanted to write 100 and you wrote O instead of that 0, and then you try that you get the same error. So if and from this you already know where your error is because you said invalid data for int with base 10. So that's just how it works. Okay. So yeah. Oh, okay. So that's just it. So now your exercise that I would be expecting tomorrow is this. So you print your name and a short bio. That one is simple. Swap two variables. Let's see how well we do with that. Then convert user input to integers and perform arithmetic. This is more of a challenge. There's a function that you need to use here that I want to see how well you do with that by tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. Actually, it's too big, but let's see how well you do with that by tomorrow. So yeah, just practice these three things, and then let's see how we go. How it goes. All right. So any questions so far? Is there something that I explained too fast, or something you'd like me to explain again before we move on to the next notebook? Okay. Rashid is good. Mustafa, are you good? Or do you have any questions? Hello, is he here? All right. Okay, okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to open the next notebook. Then we'll go from there. Home, yeah, string. Now we talked about different data types, right? We talked about integers, we talked about booleans, we talked about floats, and we talked about strings. But we're going to like talk more deeply about strings, specifically because it's one of those the data types that you most likely would even need to work more on than the other ones. We work on this with other ones too. But with strings, there are like a lot of functions that you need to like learn when it comes to strings compared to other ones. Um, with what's it called? Numbers. So yeah, that's just basically what we want to talk about right now. We want to talk more on strings, basically. Yeah. So there are a lot of functions with each data type. We'll talk about more data structures in future, like lists, dictionary sets, and tuples later on. And with each one, you would notice that there are some functions that work on a particular data structure or data type that do not work on the other ones. Like there are some functions that will work with a string that would not work with a number. Do you get it? Or there are some functions that would work with both, with everything, but the way they work would definitely be different. Or there are just a lot of things that specific to a particular data type that you need to like learn. Okay. So, and yeah, that's just basically it. Like, let's take for instance, if I want to, let me use this notebook. If I want to say 3 times 4 right now, these are numbers, right? And then I run this, I have 12. But I can do the same thing, like hello. I think I did this something similar yesterday. Hello, this is a string, right? And I'm doing hello times 4. What happens? I'm using the same multiplication sign. But what happens is it's going to multiply definitely, but not like the normal arithmetic multiplication. It's just going to like repeat it. Let me put it that way. It's going to repeat it. Hello 3 times, hello 4 times. Do you get it? So like I can use the len function on this. It's just going to count the number of characters that are inside that particular string. That's just what I'm trying to explain there. So there are some functions that work the same way, that works with everything, but their outcomes are usually different. And there are some functions that definitely are just specific to a particular data. That's just what I'm trying to get at there. Okay, so yeah, a string is a sequence of characters enclosed in quotes. Yeah. So it could be like a single quote or a double quote. Like with some other programming languages like SQL, I think, when you want to write a string, I think you have to wrap it in a single quote. In Excel, you wrap with double quotes, actually. I think in SQL it's a single quote. Yeah, like that. So you know that. But with Python, you can use quotes. You can use a single quote or that double quote, both at the beginning and at the end of that particular string. Okay, so I can have name written like this. I can have name written like hello world written like this, and they're still strings. So, and you can also use triple quotes. It could be like triple double quotes or triple single quotes. But that what this triple quotes does is that it's going to write it exactly how you have it here. Like if I run this now, so I wrote my name is Zainab, and then I went to the next line and wrote I love Python and data science. If I run this, you see that it wrote those two things exactly how they are written here on different lines, right? But if I had, let me write this. Oh, that's fast. I didn't know we were already moving that fast. Okay. If I have this, but I am using maybe a single quote or a double quote, do you get? And I run this. What did I do? Oh, yeah, I need to put them beside one another. I would not be able to do that with a single quote like that, like the way I did for this. So if I want it to like, maybe I want it to write line by line on different lines, then I have to make sure that I'm using a triple quote. So it allows multi-line strings, unlike just a single quote that would not allow you to do that. So You can enclose, like I said, you can enclose in single quotes, with double quotes, or triple quotes, maybe triple double quotes or triple single quotes, and that's it. So that's how you recognize that something is actually a string, and that's how you should write your strings to for Python to recognize that this is actually a string. Okay? Okay. Moving on. So now another beautiful thing that you can do with strings that you cannot do with integers or floats or booleans is that you can do what is called indexing and sliding. So first, let me explain what indexing is, and then we'll move on to how you're using them with um strings or any other type of structure. Now, one thing that I should mention here is that you should pay attention to this because it's something that you keep using with different data types and structures that is possible for you to do with it. Like you can do this indexing with lists and tuples. You can do it with dictionaries, but in a special way. In a very special way, you can do indexing and styling dictionary. So indexing and sliding are fundamental operations in Python for accessing elements within sequence types like strings, lists, and tuples. Or you can also say something like this, an iterable, something that you can see split to, okay, like Python now, the word Python as a string. You can try to access a particular letter. Like let's say P, you have P, you have Y, you have T, you have O, you have P. You might want to like get maybe the last few letters, or maybe some middle letter, or maybe the first few letters from that particular word. You might need them for something. So indexing and slicing allows you to do that, to be able to like get a particular word, a particular position from that particular thing. So indexing, let's talk about indexing now. So indexing refers to retrieving a single element. The key term here is single compared to sliding. Yeah. So retrieving a single element from a sequence using its numerical position or index. Yeah. So using its numerical position or index. So zero based, Python is zero based. Like I think in Excel or something else, you start your indexing from 1 to all the way to whatever, how many characters you have there. But in Python, your indexing starts from 0. It starts from 0. So like this word Python now, the first, let me zoom in. I keep forgetting to zoom in. Okay, so like this Python now is in position, this P is in position 0. Y is in position 1. T is in position 2, H is in position 3, O is in position 4, N is in position 5. Although there are 6 letters here, but if the last position is 5 because you are starting from 0, so you get what it means now. Okay, so yeah, let me do some thing here. Um, so I was saying this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you have that position in that way. Such that now, if I want to access, which this is one of the beautiful things about using variables. Now, if I want to access P, what I need to do is start by writing the variable name, then followed by a square bracket, then write the position in it, like that. And then you use the print definitely to print it out. So yeah, I will just do that. So if I write word, then followed by a square bracket, then 0, then close the bracket like that. Then this 0 will give me P, that means the first character. Wait, why is it saying 4 for this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 now. The last character is 5, not 4. Yeah. So 0, 5. So if I run this now, I have P and N, the first character and the last character. So that's this what we did right now is called positive indexing, because we are accessing where the elements from the beginning of this sequence. So each character or string, each character here is an element. Like for each element, P is an element, Y, T is an element, and all of that. Okay, so yeah, that's just that header. Now, if you want to, like, you can do a negative indexing as well. Like from you're starting your sequencing from the end of the character. So like let's take for instance, we did 0, 1, 2, 3 before. But now if you are using negative indexing, this will be sorry. This will be -1, -2, because you are starting from the back. This will be -2, -3, -4, don't mind my writing, -5, and -6. So, and it's very useful when you have like a very long text and you need something from the back, not from the front. So definitely it's easier for you to count back in that case rather than counting forward. So that's just how it works. So if I want to like say so if I want to like do that, like if I want to access like the why are you leaving it? The first character here will be -6 and the last character will be -1. So it's easier for you to say, okay, the last character, -1, definitely. The second is the last character, -2, that's fine. Do you get it? So that's just how it works. So if I say the first character here is -6, not the last one. You know where I got this from. Yeah. -6 and -1, such that if I run this, I have P and K. So if I want to access like maybe it's let's say T or H, what I just need to do is search for T and H. Look for the number. This is if I'm using positive indexing for this, I'll have 1, 0, 1, 2 for T. So I will say word 2. If I'm looking for H, that would be word 3. Then if I'm doing it from the back, this is -1, -2, -3. So I can just say word -3 and that is it. Word square bracket -3. Yeah. And that will be it. So indexing is pretty straightforward and you can easily work with it. Okay. So now let's talk about slicing. Slicing could be simple but slightly different from indexing. Remember that with indexing, you can only access just a single element, just one. But let's say you want like the first few characters, not just one. Maybe I need pi, for instance, or I need th, for instance, or I need on, for instance, or I need t all the way to the end, or I need p all the way to the end, or I need y all the way to the end, or I need just these last 3 characters. I could just get them easily. Okay, so now if I want to get the first few characters, I just need to do print 0 and word 0, then all the way to 3. So remember, you're still using that indexing idea. So you say, okay, I'm starting from 0. I need the first 3 characters, right? I'm starting from 0. Then I'm moving all the way to, it's supposed to start, the first 3 characters is 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? I'm supposed to stop at 2. But with slicing, whenever you write the character, you need to write the next character after it so that the next position. Now, there's another thing about slicing that you need to like check. The first thing that you write is where you want your slicing to start from. Like if you are starting from 0, then the next thing is followed by a colon. Then the next thing is where you want it to end, which is at all the way, maybe in this case, if I need YTH. So I'm going to write, I'm starting from 1, then I'm going to end at 3. But since 3 is in the last, whenever you have the end is always, you have to like include another one to it so that it will not skip that one. That's 2 that I'm saying. So what this is, I'm just trying to say is the index where the slice ends is exclusive, is usually omitted. So if I want it to include H, I need to move to this O, which is in 4, so that it will skip O, it will not include O. That's just what we're trying to say there. So so now if you omit it, let's you can write it like, let's assume that you have, let me just use examples here just to clarify what I'm trying to say. You have this word Python, yeah, and then so you want to print from, you're starting from the big, from 2, you want to print YTH, so you're going starting from 2 and you're moving all the way to this is 2, sorry, not 2, 1, sorry, and then you want to say you want to print 1, 2, and 3. If I write 3, see how it is going to skip, what's that? Oh, I did not close it. Yeah, I did not close the screen. So let's run that again. So you see, it skips H because I said it should stop at 3, but it will not include 3. That's just what this is trying to say, which is exclusive. So if I want it to include 3, I need to write 4 so that it will omit O. Do you get it now? That is just what I was trying to explain earlier. Now, this part is saying if you omit the start, like if you do not write the start, it defaults to 0. That means it's going to start from the beginning. So if I want it to, if I say print word and I omit the first thing, which is the start, then I follow this with a colon and then I say 4, for instance. So that means it's going to start from this, from the beginning, from the very beginning, because I skipped that part, the start. I did not write it. I just followed this with a colon and where I want it to end. So if I omit it, it's going to go all the way. It's going to start from the beginning. That's just what this part is saying. If omitted, it defaults to 0. So that means it's going to start from 0. Okay? So if I run this, see, it starts from the beginning and move all the way to the 4th index. Now, for the end, this part that is saying that we're talking about here is if you omit this part, that means it defaults to the entire length of this sequence, which is all the way to the end. That's what I want to take this away. It defaults to the length of the sequence, such that if I want, let's say I want it to print from this one all the way to the end. What I just need to do is I'm going to say print word 1 all the way to the end, because I excluded the end, right? I did not include it. I just said 1, then followed by colon, then all the way to the end. So it's going to like go all the way to the end, item, like that. That's just what this means. Now, usually you notice that we've been skipping this step. We said we have start followed by colon, end followed by another colon, then step. What we've been skipping is we did not include this step part. Now, if you usually what this step means is the increment between elements in the slides, which is optional. It's not something that you must actually write. You do not need to write it. So see, we've not been writing it and we've been fine. But if so, that means if you omit it, it's just defaults to 1. And what that means is that it's just going to keep increasing by the indexes by 1. So that means it's going to say, okay, from 0 plus 1, then move to the next one. Y, move to the next one, all the way to wherever it is you want it to stop. Okay? But if you write like 2 now, that means you are telling it to skip 1 index. So it's like you're saying you're starting from 0. Then you increase you included that step so that you wrote 2 as a step. So that means instead of saying 0 plus 1, so that the next index will be 1. Now you're saying 0 plus 2, so the next index that is going to print will be 2. So that means it's like skipping one particular index. If you write 3, that means to skip 2 indices. So before it moves to the next one, do you get it? So that's just what that step means. But usually you notice that it is being skipped because sometimes you just need to keep going, like in a step of 1 like that. But when you need to, you can do that actually. So I can do print sorry, word. Then I can start from 0. Then I want to end at 4. That means it's not include 4, but I want to skip by 2. So what you would have here is it's going to start from here, skip the next one, go to the next one like that. Even if let me run this first. So you see, you only have P and T because it skips this. Even though this one is 4, O is 4, but because you skip this and you know it will not include 4, definitely it's going to just have P and T. Just as simple as that. Okay. So that's just how it works. Now the same thing applies, like maybe you want it to start the skipping from, you want to run through everything, and you do not want to like include the start or the end or something like that. So you can just do something like this. Print word. You want to omit this. So this means you are skipping the first one. You did not write where you should start from. So that means you want it to start from the beginning. Then you wrote the next column. That means you did not write anything in the middle. That means you want it to move all the way to the end. Then you wrote like maybe 2. So that means this one, you did not write where you should start from. Then you followed it with the column that would determine what should be the next, which is the end, where you should end. And you did not write anything there as well. Then you moved on and wrote how many you should skip, like what you should step by, which is 2. So if you run something like this, you see that you have PTO because you ran all the way from the beginning to the end, such that you have P, then skipped, then you have T, then skipped H, then you have O, and C is definitely going to skip this, and then you have nothing anymore. Okay, so it's just as simple as that. So if I wanted to start from 1, for instance, I can do that. And you see that it's going to do YHN instead. Because I'm starting from here. I skipped this. I wrote this. I skipped this and this. And then I have N. And that's it. So that's just how slicing works. Are we good? Are we okay? Thumbs up if we're good. Or do you need me to explain something? Is there something that you'd like me to explain again? Okay. Mustafa, are you there? Okay, cool. No questions. All right. So now one thing that an error that you might have whenever you make a mistake of writing an index that is actually out of this range, you're going to get an error. So if I say print, we know that the index stopped at 5, right? But I'm writing 6. Probably I thought, okay, since the total length, like if I have counts is all the way to 6, I can just say 6. Or even if it's slicing, the same thing apply. And I run this. You see, I have an index error. It's saying string index out of range because 6 is not, it's ended at 5, not 6. So that's why we have that error. Even if you're trying to slice 2, you're going to get the same error, very same error. Oh, it actually works. Let me try 7. Oh, it keeps working because that's just sliding. But it's index. Yeah, you're going to get error. Yeah, you're going to get that index error. Okay, so that's just that about indexing and slicing. Now, remember the other time when I was saying something, I said that there are some functions, I call them functions at that particular point, that there are some functions that are specific to a particular data type. Okay, and each one just works for that particular one. Now, there are some methods. Now, when it comes to working with them, with a particular data type, we call them methods. Because we do not just write them as, when you're dealing with functions, what you do is you say like print followed by parentheses and all of that. But with methods, something that is specific, string method, is specific to a particular data type, what you're doing would not be that. What you'll be doing is dot something. So in this case, like let's say you want text dot upper. So this means that this is the method. Upper is a method. We are writing it after the name of the variable or after whatever it is you're trying to convert, not at the beginning like you would have as the normal function. This is why it's called a method. You do dot that thing, text dot upper. Do you get it? Text dot upper, like that till you have it again. So yeah, so print text dot upper. So you have this text here. Definitely, you want to convert everything. When you use the upper function, that means you're trying to convert everything to upper. When you use the lower function, that means you're trying to convert everything to lower case. When you now use strip, you remove the empty white spaces. You see that there are some empty white spaces in this particular text. So it's going to just remove them, the extra white spaces there. Okay, so there's one for removing the leading or the trailing one. Like this one now, this is left, right? You can use, if you only want to remove this one, instead of just writing strip, you write L strip, you can write. So yeah, let's see how everything works. Then replace. You can replace a certain text with something else. You see, it just works like a function too. You write replace, then you write what is happening here is okay. You say you want to replace whatever, when it finds Python in that string, you want to replace it with Java. Okay. Then type 2 is you want to change it to type 2 case, which means it's just this is actually in type 2 case because it's just going to have everything in the first letter of each word will be in upper case. That's just what type 2 does. Then find. So if you say find pro, it's going to tell you which position the pro is. And I think it's somewhere around here. Then count. Then what this is doing is it gives you how many occurrences where you find how many times M appeared in this particular text. So let's actually see each one in action. So you see, this one, before the stripping, you have Python, everything is spaced like that. So you have Python programming in uppercase, lowercase, then you strip here, you see that it now moves like this. Then you change Python to Java here. Then here you what's the next one? Okay, type 2 case, which you have here. The first letter of each word is in uppercase. That's what title does. If you want, okay, no. If you want only the first letter, and this one has the first letter of all the words to be in capital letter, you use capitalize instead. Let me include capitalize so that you see that too. Okay, so let me use capitalize. Is it capitalize? Capitalize. Yeah, capitalize. Okay, so you see, because we have some space here, that's why it's not working like that. Let me do it with another one so you can see. Why does it keep coming down? Ah, I forgot to remove these spaces. Oh, why does it keep going down? Okay. Yeah, you see now that it's now in capital form, just like that. Okay, so that's just how each of those functions work. Now you would notice something here, something that happened here. is that for each one, it's not like it's repeating. It's not like he's doing that thing on text. Do you get it? It's not like he's doing it. It's just like creating a copy of what you already have in text and printing it out. So if you want to save it back to text, maybe so that, like in the case of this strip, you see that after you doing this strip, you still have it in the next one, because what methods do is that they create a copy of, like, it's just like a copy of what you have here. You are just printing it out like that. It's not like it's in memory. You are not saving it anywhere else. So if you want this to happen for each one, you'd have to save back to text. So what I mean is this: like, instead of just, if I want it to like be still be whatever is happening happens with text, like in the space of a that space, the empty spaces. Now, what I will do in that case is I want to do text um equals to, I'm saving it back to text because I want it to do that. I'll just do text dot strip like that, and I'm fine. So that when I do text dot capitalize now, it would have to, let's assume that I print text first here. You see the difference. Print text before I do the text dot strip. You see, the first one had the extra white space. Do you get it? It had the extra white space. Now, when I did text dot strip, notice that I did not print the text dot strip. It's just like that. Let me even print it so you see what I'm saying. Print text first. You see how it is. Text is just like that. After I had stripped it, and the only reason I was able to like get text like this is because I already saved the script. I made that copy. It's not just a copy anymore. I've saved it to a variable. I can decide to like change the name of the variable. That's fine. But I wanted to change it to swap whatever is in text to the cleaning that I have done here to remove the strip, the shower strip. I hope you get what I just explained. You just have, so you can just keep changing. So if you want this capitalized to be saved back to text, you have to like say text equals to text dot capitalized, like still back to that particular variable again. So whenever you do like a string method, just know that it's just going to like be in that particular, what's it called? That particular text to just be to that particular thing. You should just make a copy at that particular instance. But if you want it to be saved, you have to save it in another variable or in that same variable. That's just how it works. Okay. So yeah, that's just that. So if you want to see, the same thing works with, if you want to see like how a method works, I can just do text dot strip, and then I would have that question mark here. Then I'll see how that particular function works. So it explains what it does. Return the copy, see what I was saying, of the string with leading and trailing white spaces removed. Do you get it now? So it's a built-in function or method. Let me just put that. That's how they put it. I'm not going to put it that way. Okay. So now you can have a list of all the, this is how you check the list of all methods that are associated with strings. So I have still the string, right? So I'm just trying to check this is a function, dir. What dir does with whatever value that you give it, or whatever, if I give it text right now, because text is a string, it's going to give me all the methods associated with a string, because this is a string. So you can use all these. These ones are just, this is the major method. After this underscore, you can see the major methods here. So you have capitalized, case fold. So you have a lot of methods that you can use. Okay, but I only showed you some of the most important ones that you can work with. So you have end with, you can have count, you have format, you have a lot of function, just, replace, strip, transfer. These are all the functions and methods that you can use with a string. So if you really need one, you can just check this list to see which one actually works with whatever it is you want to do. Or Google is your friend. You can just search for, I want to do this, and then it tells you which one you can work with. Okay. So let's talk about string concatenation and repetition. Yeah. When you say concatenation, oh, before I move on, do we get this part, the string methods, or there's something you would like me to explain at this point? Are we good to go? Can I move on?
This one.
Wait, yeah. What did you say?
About these prints properties,
The upper case, the upper,
and I think what now I'm thinking is that maybe anytime that I write any text,
Mm-hmm.
the upper case may turn into capital letter.
Yeah, it will turn everything to capital letter. After you have written it like this, maybe you need it as a capital letter. You can just use that text dot upper to turn everything to capital letter. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Or is that not what you're trying to ask? Hello? What? Did
Yes,
I, did I answer your question? I can't hear you. Just give me a thumbs up if you're good.
good.
Okay, you're good. All right, thank you. Um, yeah. So are we all on the same page? Can I move on? Can I move on now? Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. All right, so let's talk about string concatenation and wait. String concatenation and repetition. So let's say you have this first name and then you have last name and you want to join them together, you can just use the concatenation. It's pretty straightforward with Python. You can do first name plus the essence of this quotes. You can do plus, but it's not the normal you are plus adding something with something with when you're talking about how to make it now. Yeah. So whenever you want to concatenate something, like you want to join two words together, you use the plus sign. That's what's called concatenation. So you save this first name plus space. Now, if you do not include this space here, it's not going to be the concatenation. This is, let's just say you did first name plus last name. So, and you run this. You see, you just added everything together without any space between them. So if you want the space between them, what you need to do is add that space, and then to that means you're saying first name plus space plus last name. So that's what it is. So you're adding everything together and set it into another variable called colon. Okay. So another way that is not included here is to use the print statement. I can do print first name comma last name. And remember that the interesting thing about this whole thing is that you can easily with print statements you can use it for concatenation of words as well. That's just, I think I mentioned that earlier. So if you do not want space between them, remember that same argument, you can just say, instead of, the default is space, you can change it to maybe, let's say, comma, for instance. See, you have that. But if you want it as whatever it is you have initially, you see, even without anything, it's just going to do the space because space is the default for separator. But if you want something else, you can just include the separator argument and it's going to use that. Okay, so that's just how the concatenation works. If you want to concatenate stuff, just use plus, and you can use the print statement for concatenation as well. Okay. Yeah. So I think I showed you this before, how you can repeat something over a string like several times, and that's just it. Just say ha ha ha. Multiply it 3. Use the multiplication sign. Now to this strings, string formatting. You have name equals to Zainab, age equals to 25. What string formatting does is you might have like a sentence that you want to print out and you want to reference a particular variable. Now, if you're dealing with normal maybe word, I could just say print, let me copy this text. Print, my name is, now instead of having name here, I can just say print my name is Zainab and I am 15 years old. And I run this. Now, there's nothing happening here. I'm just putting something that is just there. I just wrote something and I said, I told it to print it. Now, let's assume that you've been working on a variable over and over again and you just want to print out something with that particular variable. How do you reference that particular variable in that print statement? So, since everything is a string, you can use string formatting to do that. Okay? Even if the variable is not a string, you can use string formatting to do that. So there are 2 ways to do string formatting. You can use the F string or you can use the format. So tell me which one you prefer later on. Okay? So using F strings, let me start with using format. Now, instead of just printing, instead of just saying, print my name is Zainab, like blah, 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 like that. What I would do in that case is I'm going to leave a placeholder in this case. That's when I'm using just the format function. I'm going to leave a placeholder here, telling it that there's something I want to put here, but wait for me, okay? So my name is Zainab, and I am, and then I'm going to leave another placeholder here. Hold this space for me. I want to put something there. Then after my text that I want to print out, I'm going to now say dot. To say it's after the text, right? I'm going to use the dot format method. Dot format. And what am I going to say? You see, I left 2 placeholders here. So I have to write each one the way they come. Like the first placeholder should contain the name variable. So I'm going to write name first. And the second placeholder should contain the age. So I'm going to write age next. Do you get it now? So the first placeholder is name and the next one is age. So that's how you use the format function. So such that if I should print this right now, you see, you just put the variables that I want in placeholder exactly there. Or even if it's not a variable, I can just write what I want here. But I don't think it defeats the meaning of using a variable and using the format function. Why not just write it here? So yes, that's just how it works. So you have names and that's how dot format works. Now, instead of using the dot format, I can use F string such that I'm going to place this here. I'm going to delete this part. Now, whenever I want to use that F string, I'll start with F, telling you that expect some hints in like some placeholders here that I need something inside. So I'll just put the F string first, then I'll put my quote, and I'll say my name is. Now instead of being the placeholders empty, I'm going to write the name of the variable inside that placeholder. So I'm just going to say name here, and then and I'm going to say age here, and that's it. So that I don't need to start looking for which one comes first or which one comes last. So instead of leaving the placeholders empty, write in here. And always remember that whenever you're doing that, put the F string here so that it understands that you'll be using formatting later and it works that way. So if I run this, the same thing happens and you are good to go. Okay, are we good? Are we okay? Tell me if you're okay, if you need me to explain something else here again. Okay, we're good. Rashid, are you good too? Let me say Abu Ashur. All right, so yeah, you can try this yourself too. So create a string that says, hello, my name is this, and your favorite language, maybe your programming language or just any language. So you use both strings and formats, the format method. Yeah. So that's just it. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. So I think we are moving to the end of the whole class. Of not the whole class. So the end of the string class right now. So the last thing here is how to use escape characters. So use backslash to include special characters. So now let's assume that there's something I have not mentioned that is specific to strings. Now, let's assume that you have something like, you want to print something like this. Why do I do that? It's my birthday. Something like this. Now, and then because you like using single quotes to wrap your string, you wrap it like this. Let's now use print to do that, to print it out. You're going to get an error because unterminated string literal. Because now, this thing here means that this statement ends exactly here because you have wrapped it like this and like this here. So in that case, there are two ways in which you can do it. You could actually skip this to avoid this error. You can just use double quotes outside like this. But what if in a case where after writing this whole thing, now, well, you included something like, and I said, this is great. Now, watch this. Remember, whenever you have a text that you are saying, you have to put quotes. Now, there's another problem because if I run this, what this is saying is there's another string inside this string. Okay, there's another quote inside this quote, which is not something that is acceptable in Python. You cannot just have a string terminated there because it's already assumed that this statement ends here. So what is this other thing? So or it's assuming that you should actually place a comma and then put a quote at the beginning of this to actually make sense of it. But that's not it. That's not what you want. You want this statement to be written exactly how it is here. So what you can do in that case is you can just escape, since we are using double quotes outside, or even if it's in the case of when you were using just single quotes outside. So to avoid that, what you just need to do is use an escape character. So you use the backslash to escape a special character. I want it to be, what you're trying to say is leave it as it is here. Then you had another escape character here so that Python understands that you want this inside the text and there should be no issue. So if I run this, everything works just fine. And you have your quotes directly outside here and you're fine. Okay, that's just what that means. Okay, so we know \n because we saw it when we were dealing with that the other time. What it means is print this, but print the next few things in a new line, such that if I should run this, I would have line 1 and line 2 in different on different lines. So then if I have tab \t space, what \t means is that I want a tab, not just a space in between tab and space. I want a tab. That means 4 spaces. So I want a tab. So that's just exactly what it did here. So you have other escape characters, but these ones are the major ones that I will just talk about here. Okay, so if you want more on that. I think there's a link that I dropped in the last one, this one. If you click on it and go to strings, where strings, yeah. Go to strings, scroll, let me see if I can say, yeah, escape characters. I'm not scrolling. Escape characters. Yeah. You see, we have more. We have more. We have single quotes to escape that. Backslash, backslash is there. So if you want to keep a backslash there, you have to write double backslash. New line, carriage return. You have a lot of this. So if you need them, you can just come for them here and see how they work. So that's just that about strings. Basically, at least for this class. Do we have any questions? There are some practice exercises there that you can try out and would if there's a particular one that is challenging, I'm just going to like pick one or two and answer them in class tomorrow. Okay, so then there's a bonus. This one is a challenge. Let's see how we can work with that. Okay, so I'm not doing this yet. I'll just leave this for you to work around. All right, so any questions so far?